Okay, a Shvua Tov, everybody. Everybody had a wonderful Lag Baomer, I hope. Lag is 33, and that celebrates the yard side of Rav Shimon Bar Yochai, Rashbi. He was one of Rabbi Akiva's Talmidim, but he was not one of the 24,000. After the 24,000 died, then he started teaching 5 more Talmidim in the south part of Eretz Yisrael, and one of them was Rav Shimon Bar Yochai. And when Rav Shimon Bar Yochai died, he said everybody should be happy at his yard site. And that was Lag Baomer last Sunday. That man said the world would end on Shabbos, the 21st of May, but it couldn't be true because Lag Baomer is Sunday, and besides I had a dentist appointment on Monday, so how could it end? So he put it off to October 21st, which is Simchas Torah. Well, hello folks, we have a lot of them running around there. There's no dearth of Mishagoyim. And, okay, so now we had Lag Baomer. Lag 33, that's because Rav Shimon Bar Yochai, who wrote the Zohar, which light, and he exposed our eyes to secrets of the Torah. Gal Einai, exposed my eyes, Ba'abita Niflos Torah Secha, and I will look at wonders of your Torah. Gal, Lag, same letters, backwards. So that was a Shimon Bar Yochai with the great minig of having a madur, a hadlaka, a big fire, because that's light, and Zohar means light, and we shoot bows and arrows. We shoot arrows because a bow is called a keshes, and a rainbow is called a keshes. And in the life of Shimon Bar Yochai, there was no rainbow because he was the protection of the world. Hashem told Noah, if I ever feel I want to destroy the world, I won't do it because I promise you I won't do it with water. So he puts a rainbow in the sky, which looks like a bow, and if you put a string across that curve, you get a bow. So the bow is always shoot facing away from the earth. Will never destroy the earth. To remind us that is the protection, that God will not destroy the world with water, is the rainbow. And since in the night of Shimon Bar Yochai there was never a rainbow because he was the protection, therefore, as he was the Haganah, the protection, we remember this by kids shoot bows, shoot arrows from bows, and we light a fire because Zohar is light. And now we start the Parsha Bamidbar. We're starting the 4th book of the Torah. It's called Sefer Pekudim, the book of numbers, counting. Yes, we call it Bamidbar because that's the first word, but that's not the official name. Like Bereshis, the official name is not Bereshis. It's convenient to call it Sefer Bereshis. That's not what Chazal call it. They call it Sefer HaYeshorim, the book of correct people. That's Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, who lived honestly, correctly, and made a Kiddush Hashem in the world, even though everyone who was involved with Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov cheated them, hurt them, threatened them, wanted to kill them. So this Rasha who died, Bilam says, Thomas Nafshi Moshe Yeshorim, I wish my soul would die the death of Yesharim. And Bilam, if you add it up, comes out the same gematria as the last letters of Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. Abraham is 40, Yitzchak is Kuf 140, and Yaakov is Beis 142. Bilam is 142. But of course he lived like a wicked man, he died like a wicked man. He got chopped up by Pinchas. And in midair. So Sefer Bereshis is called Sefer Yeshorim. Some people call it Sefer HaBriyah, the book of creation. Shemos is called Sefer HaGeula, we got out of Mitzrayim. Vayikra is called Sefer Torah's Kohanim, the book of Kohanim, about Kohanim, Levim, Kavonos. And Bamidbar we're in now is Sefer HaPekudim, the book of counting. And Sefer Devarim is called Mishneh Torah, or it's called Sefer HaYashar, because it says there, Vasisa HaYashar v'Hatov. And a little later in Devarim it says Vasisa HaTov v'HaYashar. So what comes first, Yashar or Tov? Or Tov or Yashar? What's Yashar and what's Tov? That's a later discussion. There is another Sefer in Tanakh called Sefer Shoftim, That's called the Sefer Hayosha too. That's for a completely different reason. Because it says, Kol Ish Asher Yosha Be'einav Yaseh. Every man, what was right in his eyes, he did. That's the Sefer Yeshoftim. Now most people think, misled by some people that translate Shoftim, including Art Scroll. They changed it 25 years ago when Rabbi Victor Miller made an announcement, not about them, but just said some journals have misunderstood this, so they changed it. What does it mean? So you would think in Shoftim, all the wars, you see all the wars there, and the fate of the Jews go up and then down and up and down during the Shoftim. Called Hayashar Be'einav Yas, everyone did what was right in his eyes, which means it looks like anarchy, right? Mamish, just the opposite. 440 years from the time they entered Eretz Yisrael till they built the base of Mikdash. 440 years, no king. Well, Shaul for a year and a half, and David, but no king, no base HaMikdash, no Kohen Gadol, no central headquarters, and there was in Tanakh almost no major sins in 440 years. The influence of Moshe and Yoshua. Yeah, I know. Two Averos, two big things they did. Pelegish Megillah and Pesel Micha. Terrible tragedies. In Pesel, Pelegish Megillah, 40,000, 50,000 together, 90,000 people got killed in 440 years. Now America's 240 years old. The moral fiber is shot. There's 440 years before they started. No king. Well, about 400 years, no king. No Kohen Gadol, no Sanhedrin, no Beis HaMikdash, and everything was 98% perfect. The Shoftim were all tzaddikim. There was one woman Shofetes. And the time of the Beis HaMikdash, they were not as good as the time of the Shoftim. They were one misstep of one person, the whole Klal Yisrael was blamed. It's always been derech guzma. So the Art Scroll wrote, it was anarchy, but then people called them, I got involved too, and they rewrote their Tanakh, and they said it was not. Well, they said there's another opinion. It wasn't anarchy, it was just the opposite. It was, they didn't need a king. So Shmuel and Rabbi says to the people, you want a king? Why do you need a king? Why? Hashem Malkechem, God is your king. You got along fine for 400 years. I'm a shofet. The rest of the shoftim, the Shmuel HaNavi, what do you need a king for? The Navi tells him, what do you need a king for? It would mean there wasn't anarchy, just the opposite. Alright, now let's go to the Sefer Bamidbar. Then we're going to finish the questions on Sphira and Lag Baomer and Shavuos. Sefer Bamidbar, Sefer HaBakudim. It starts out, V'yadaber Shem el Moshe, God spoke to Moshe, Bamidbar Sinai, and the Midbar Sinai. Why? Already there 2 years. Why do you got to tell me Midbar Sinai? Ohel Moed, in the Ohel Moed, after Sinai, 2 years later, in the beginning of the second month. B'shana Hashenis in the second year means Rosh Chodesh Iyar. The Seis Omer Mitzrayim, and when they left Mitzrayim, Lamor, saying, now wait a minute, why do you need the word Bamidbar? Why you start out with the second month? In Bahaloscha, 20 pages later, it says, he spoke to them on the first day of the first month of the second year. Why don't you have it in order? In Baloscha. Why don't you, that's 9. This is Aleph, chapter 9. Why don't you start in order? Why don't you write it in order? What's wrong with writing in order? It costs the same money. Why don't you write things in order? Here, 9. Test. 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 Here it is. Test. Yadaber Shem and Baloscha. Yadaber Shem and Moshe Bamidbar Sinai B'shana Hashenis. It says in Beretz Chodesh Rishon Nisan. Certain thing. Why don't you go in order? So everybody listening to me knows what it says always about such things. Ein mukdam u'meuchar b'Torah. There's no earlier or later in the Torah. It's not chronologically correct. Why not? If you're going to write it already, write it in order. When you write American history, you don't start with the Civil War, you start with the Revolutionary War. You don't start with President Lincoln, you start with Washington. Why don't you write it in order? Why not? It's cost the same money. Now I'm going to tell you a gigantic little secret of the Torah. You know my sefer is called Gigantic Little Secrets of the Torah, Niflaos HaTorah. We're going to the fourth printing soon. And anyone who wants to buy 10, 20, 30, 50, 80, 100 and have their name and the organization or printed in it, or give it away for a yard site or a family simcha or a dinner, or can buy them, and the first page will be dedicated to your organization. Call me later and we'll discuss how you can own these very cheap, almost half of retail, and it's coming being printed soon. You can have your name on it, or you can dedicate it to whoever you want, but you have to buy a minimum of 10 up to 100 sforim. Anyhow, listen. In the gigantic little secrets of the Torah, I'm going to tell you one. Why doesn't the Torah have to be organized chronologically? You know why not? Because Yisrael and Hashem, who wrote the Torah, and the Torah is one concept. Yisrael v'arayus v'kid shabrichu chadu. Hashem is not bound by space and time. He always was, and he is, and he will be. He's every place. He's not in the world, in the universe. The universe is in him. He's beyond time and space. So are we. I'll give you many rayas. The Jews left Mitzrayim, and the last town in Egypt was Ramses. And they went from Ramses to Sukkos. And the first few days they were out. And Rashi says it's 120 mil, about 90 miles, 80 miles. Bingo, they were there. Time, space, they were just there. Alpinais, they had kfitzas aderech. The land shrunk. The land didn't shrunk, they were just there. The Beis HaMikdash on Yom Kippur, they were jammed shoulder to shoulder. When they heard Hashem's name, they prostrated themselves flat out. How did everybody all of a sudden have Daled Amos? You only had 6 inches. It says it was Alpinais. When they dedicated the Mishkan in Shemos, maybe it was in Vayikra, no, in Shemos, it says that all the Jewish people got on the day of inauguration of the Levium, they got in front of the Mishkan. Mishkan was in the yard, 100 amos long by 50 amos wide. The back 50 by 50 was the Mishkan, which was 10 by 30. And the front was open space, 50 by 50. Well, 50 times 50 is 2,500 square amos. And if you wanted to fit people in there, if everyone needs Daled Amos, that's 625 people divided 4 into 2,500. How come 625 people, right? How come 625,000 fit there? How do you know? Because it sells all clothing, so. All the males. Wow. 603,550 and 22,000 Levium. That's 625,000 in a space of 625. It says in Rashi and all Mefarshim, sometimes a mokum kutzer, very short, narrow place, can hold a lot of people. We're beyond space. When Eliezer left Abraham to look for a wife for Yitzchak, he went from Beersheba always to Haran, 17-day trip. He got there the same day he left. Time, space. When Yaakov went to Lavan and he forgot to daven in Yerushalayim, he turned around and all of a sudden he was in Beisel. He went back to Beisel, and they say Yerushalayim came to Beisel. He was there in a second. Kfitzas haderech, it just was there. A lot of things like this. Yisrael, the rice of a kitchurichu chadu is one concept. We are eternal, indestructible, and live alpines. The fact that we're still here today, 57, 71, after being the 0.5% of human civilization, the smallest of the Mashu nation, and we are around already since Schwab by Shani, almost 2,000 years, since Avram, almost 4,000 years, and all the great giant nations are disappeared. Rome, Babel, the Greeks, the Romans, the Babylonians, the Egyptians, all our persecutors. Even the 1,000-year riot that lasted 12 years. 1933 to 45. And these chevra over there, don't worry about it. We're having trouble with them. They're also going to disappear. Yisrael is beyond. It's supernatural. We defy space and time. We defy existence. Think about that a little bit. Anyhow, so we don't have to write the Torah in order. We also are not bound by these rules of nature. The fact that we exist is a miracle. And the whole world is concerned only with us. In the Middle Ages, they killed us more than anybody else. And now, since they have a country in Eretz over there, they're millions, 100 to 1 of the Arabs. They want to kill us. Why? We're just 1/2% Why are we so threatening everybody? Why? Don't you understand? We're like Kochavim, like stars. We give light to the world, and we're indestructible and untouchable. Like sand, you can walk on us, but you can't destroy us. We're like Ofar, like the earth. All life comes from the earth. All the Marisha came from the earth. Tchias Mason comes from the earth. All food comes from the earth. Animals that you chef, they eat off the earth. The carbonates that the mincha menachas and all these grains that come from the earth, put that on the mizbeach. Tchias Mason will be from the earth, not from the sky. We are an anomaly. Like Rabbi used to say, we're not part of the normal human race. We're a different thing. That's true. If you don't know it, start thinking about it. Bamidbar, Sinai, so we're in the Midbar. We know that. I know. Midbar is Hefker. It's a Hefker place. This says Chazal, this word, first sentence here, is related to the last sentence of last week's Seder. Something about Eil HaMitzvos. These are the mitzvos. If you make your life like a Midbar, you're Hefker. You don't care much about your personal pleasures. If you make yourself like a Midbar, you'll be Zochet to mitzvahs. You'll be Zochet to understand Kol HaTorah. Depends what you're sold out for. Are you sold out for pleasure? Then you're bankrupt for Yiddishkeit. If you're sold out for Yiddishkeit, you're in good shape to be a master of all the Torah and all the mitzvahs and everything. A Midbar, it's not just interesting, right? Bamidbar is 248. There's 248 Avarim. If you take all your major organs and dedicate them to live a real life as a human being, a high-class human being, not just an educated animal, but a human being who's aware of his God and his duties and what he has to do, then Bamidbar, Ramach Avarim, then you'll be Zochet Eil HaMitzvahs. These are the mitzvahs. But if you're turned off to that, bankrupt to that, for that stuff, if you're sold out for Gashmias, you're bankrupt for Ruchnias. So is Rosh B'nai Yisrael. Pick up the heads. That means count them. So you're not allowed to count Jews, because David counted them. He got sick for 6 months. He got tsaras. So how can you count them? Even now you can't count Jews. Even you have a minion, you don't count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You look at them with your eyes. You're not allowed to count Jews. So how come Hashem counted them? 2 or 3 times in the Torah. The answer is Hashem can count them, but not us. He made us, but we can't count. Because He sees, when He sees one person, He sees everyone who came before you and everyone who's going to come after you. When we look with our eyeballs, we just see one person. Because we don't know that this person may have many neshamas around him, malachim around him. Chona Malach Hashem Sobev L'Reyo V'Yechalsem. Malach Hashem surrounds a person. He's protected. You don't see that. Just like your finger. You don't see any organism on the finger. Put it under a microscope. You'll see thousands. What you see means nothing. What exists, that's something else. So you're not allowed to count a Jew. Maybe just thousands of people. And when you see 10 Jews. How do you count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, maybe 50,000? You don't see them. Well, do you see germs? Do you see radio waves? Do you see sound waves? Do you see wind? Do you see electricity? Do you see gravity? Do you see magnetism? Do you see Nevuah, Ruach HaKodesh? You see HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Neshamas? The other things that are here, very here, but you can't see them unless you're trained, and you need a 1,000,000 power microscope to see germs. Well, we got it. It's right here. It's called the Torah. So elevate. When you get counted into the cloud, so you're being elevated. So as Rosh B'nei Yaakov As B'nei Yisrael Mishpachosum Lebeis Avosam for the family line. So Mispar Shemus Kol Zocher Ligul Gosam. All count all the numbers of every shevet, every family, and then the head of the shevet will say, "This is how many we have: Reuven, Shimon, Levi, Yehuda, Yisachar, Zvulun." And then Moshe will know the final numbers, which it tells us later: 603,550 only males between 20 and 60. Well, what about a 61-year-old man, and an 80, and a 90, and 100, and 120, and 150, and 180? And what about a 19-year-old boy, and an 18 or 17? He's not a person. And no one had a wife. Some had 2 or 3 wives. They don't count. No one had a daughter. No daughters. Why is it only 20 to 60? Because we know there was at least 3.5 million Jews and 2.4 million Erev Rav, 5.5, 6 million people under one man, Moshe. But the basic person, that the worker, the harder, the most productive is when you're 20 to 60. We know that, and physically, mentally, emotionally, you're very productive. Most people, Gedolei Yisrael, are mostly productive later. But we're talking about the average person, so 20 to 60 is a good thing. So, in the Mishpachosum and the Beis Avosam, it says, to your house of your fathers. Mikan, from here you learn, says the Gemara Baba Metzia, Baba Basra, Kuf Tes 109 on the second side. Mikan, the Mishpachas Av Karuya Mishpacha. The father's family is called your family. Mishpachas Aim, the mother's Mishpacha is not called your family. So I'd like to put down for women, right? This is, if you don't see the real picture, women are far more precious than men. How do you know? It just says here, the family of the father, that's called Mishpacha. Woman's family, that's nothing. Really? From the yichus of the father, you get what shevet you belong to, your inheritance, your Yerusha, your land. You know what you get from the mother? Who the mother is? From the father, you get gashmias, physical things. You get from the mother ruchnias. Are you a Jew or not? Has nothing to do with the father, only the mother. That separates for right away. When you're Jewish, then you're a completely different person. You have obligations they don't have. So the mother determines the taharas haneshama, the purity of your soul. The mother, taharas haneshama, me'eza am ato. What nation are you from? The mother determines that. You think that's a small thing? Well, you know very well. We're talking about the major thing. And so-called Orthodox feminism is kfira. That's right. Feminism, Orthodox, modern Orthodox feminism, kfira. Having a clue what they're talking about. I met one of these once. I said, why do you want to wear a thousand tefillin and read the Sefer Torah? Well, why should we be different than men? I said, do you do dinim that a woman should do? What do you mean? Are you married? You go to mikveh? You cover your hair? You have short sleeves? Why don't you do your stuff before you do our stuff? And read their literature from their conventions. It's kfira. It's unbelievable. There's a new magazine just came out from Baltimore, Dialogue, on something 5606 Parkhouse Avenue. I don't know, in Baltimore, I don't know the telephone number. Brand new, slick, high-polished, sophisticated magazine talking about these things. Well, like Rabbi Gifter once said, and years ago, Zeichat Tzadik Bracha, Rosh Yeshiva tells, he was speaking to a modern Orthodox, or it was not conservative, it was modern Orthodox congregation in Cleveland. I think it was Cleveland, that's where the yeshiva was. And all the Rosh Yeshivas told him, don't go there. Rosh Yeshiva, right wing, black hat Rosh Yeshiva, go to a modern Orthodox. So he said that the theme was different trends in Orthodoxy. He started off right in the beginning, American-born man, Rabbi Gifter. He says, in Orthodoxy, there could be different trends. But in Judaism, there is not. There's only one Judaism. That's Api Halacha. That's the Torah. That's Chazal. No one is smarter than Chazal. Nobody. You can't reinterpret the law. It doesn't change. This is Kfira and Apikorsis. You're not smarter than Rashi and Rambam. And you should see what they write. It's poison for the eyes to see it. I don't have to go into it. But you get the magazine Dialogue, you see the whole thing about uncovering their hair after divorce, and feminism, and trusting in Chazal, and what was the other things there? Time, how old is the world? Is it really 12 billion years old, 10 billion years old, or really 5,771? And this discussion, very little emotion, all high-class, sophisticated logic, because their traditional so-called, quote, Torah magazine are also very glib and very sophisticated, very polished, and twisted Chazal, and twisted halachas. You should see how what this magazine, a journal, dialogue, monthly, makes ash and blotter from them, shows them, and without any emotion, without any calling name, how ignorant, how misunderstood how they don't understand what they're talking about. Anyhow, from 20 years and older, anyone go out to war. Doesn't mean you have to go out to war. It means you can control your Yetzer Hara. You said last week in the Parshas Daled, you control your Yetzer, you're a Gibor. That's called going to war. Every day we go to war. Every one of these Jews, they should have one man, the head of every Shevet, 12 people. These are the names of the people that will stand with you, Moshe and Aaron. L'Ruvain, Elitzur ben Shedeur, L'Shimon Shlomiel ben Tzvi Shadoi, L'Yehuda Nachshon ben Aminodov, L'Yisachar Nasan ben Suah. You know how beautiful these names are? Let's take a look at some of these names. Eli Tzur, my God is my rock. Shedeur, Shin Daled Yud Ar, Shin Daled Yud is my light. Shlumiel, Shalom El, God give me peace. Tzuri Shadoi, Tzuri, my rock is Shin Daled Yud. Nachshon, I don't know what that means, but Ami Nadav, I'm me, my nation gives tzedakah, Nadav, or philanthropist. Nosan El, Ben Suah, Nosan El, God gave me everything. Eliyav Ben Suah, Eli, my God is my father. Eli Shoma, Eli, my God, Shoma listens to me. Ami Hud, I'm me, my nation Hod brings glory to God. Gamli ben Pedosur, Gamli El, God gives me favors. Podor Tsur, Tsur, my rock, Podor redeems me. Avi Don, Avi, my father, Don judges. Achiezer, my brother, God is called father, brother, anything. Achi, my brother, Ezer helps me. So let's now, the last few minutes, let's continue the list we left off last week on the questions, the 33 questions of Sphira, like Baomer and Shavuos. Let's go to, last week we left off 21. Let's go to 22. What is the brachas for a rainbow? Because Reshim Bayichai, in his lifetime, there was no rainbow, because he was the rainbow. He was the protection. What is the bracha for the rainbow? You better know by heart, because when you see the rainbow and you run for a siddur, you're not going to come back in time. What's the bracha for a rainbow? Here, 22. So you think I should know it by heart, right? I do. 6 words. Zocher habris, he remembers the covenant. The Naaman bebariso, and he's trustworthy in his bris. He will not destroy the world, as he told Noah. The kiyam b'mamoro, and he keeps his word. So you better learn these 6 words. Zocher habris, you remember the bris, the covenant he made with Adam not to destroy the world with water. The Naaman bebariso, and he's going to keep his bris. V'yikayim b'mamoro, and they all say the same 3 things, right? Zocher habris, Naaman bebariso, v'yikayim b'mamoro. All they mean 3 different things, but little different aspects. Zocher is the past, Naaman is the present, Yikayim B'moro the future, and we saw tsunamis killing millions of people. I know, but the whole world will not be again destroyed in a flood. And the flood came because of rain, and then the underground wells, springs opened up, but most people were killed already by the rain. Let's go to number 23. Why can't you inform your friend you saw a rainbow? Or why can't you gaze at a new moon? Because the rainbow is a warning to Rishoyim. They are causing the destruction of mankind. Gazing at the moon causes lunacy. Lunacy. If you gaze at the moon, you can go out of your mind. That's why the person is called a lunatic. Luna is the moon. And you're supposed to look at the rainbow and then turn away and make a bracha. You see the moon, you look at it, you turn away, make a bracha. You don't gaze at it, you can look at it. In fact, if you see a rainbow, you're not supposed to tell your friend, because it's not a good thing to let someone see that God really wants to destroy the world, but He's not going to destroy it because He gave a sign to Noah. So it's not so good to tell your friend about it. And the moon, by the way, when you look at the moon and you make Kiddush Levana every month, you turn away 90 degrees, says the Shulchan Aruch, while you're making that bracha. Because you don't want a guy to think you're praying to the moon. We don't pray to any celestial body or person. When you go to the cemetery, you're not supposed to pray to that person. Ain't Dor Shalom Mason, you're not allowed to do that. You pray to God for the schus of that person laying there. You do not, we don't want to look like that you're praying to the moon, so we turn away, we make the bracha at 90 degrees. And after Kiddush Levan, you say Aleinu. Because it says in the first chapter of Aleinu, they bow down to stars and planets, but we bow down to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That's why you say Aleinu right after Kiddush Levana, and that's why you say Aleinu right after Bris. So no guy should think we're doing child sacrifice. Alright, one more question, and then we'll call it quits. If you want to have this whole list here, the 33 questions of Lag Baomer, go online right here, on where you are, Torah anytime, and print it down. You can print it. Next week is coming the 30 questions on Megillas Rus and Shavuos. But we're going to do this week still with the 33 questions of Sphira. What question are we up to? Where in the Chumash are the following hinted to? Lag Baomer, Chanukah, Purim, and Tisha B'Av. All these three are not in the Torah, but where are they hinted to in the Torah? Everything that we do is hinted to somewhere in the Torah. Where in the Chumash are the following hinted to? Lag Baomer, Chanukah, Purim, Tisha B'Av. These happened centuries after the Torah was given. 24. Lag Baomer, go to Vayikra 15:13. It's 3 Pesukim and the 49 words about counting, and the 33rd word is Mo'ed, and Lag Baomer is like a Yontif. And then go to Chanukah, Vayikra Chav Beis Aleph, that talks all about the holidays, and then it goes, after it finishes Sukkot, it goes into about the menorah, how to build the menorah. We had that already in Shemos. In Vayikra, so it's in Vayikra. That's what do you think after Sukkot is? Chanukah, and menorah. And Purim, you go to Vayikra 24. Hey, it talks about a shulchan. You pack up the breads on the 2 loaves, the 6 and 6 loaves on the shulchan, the lechem haponim. Well, don't you have to eat a meal on Purim? And weren't the sons of Haman stacked up one under the other hung? And Tisha B'Av, it says in Vayikra Chav Gimel Chav Beis that you bring about the Yontif Pesach and Shavuos. Then it talks about agricultural law, one sentence, and it goes back to Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, and Sukkot. So what is the agricultural law doing there? Because that actually about leaving for the poor person pay on the corners of the field. So isn't that true? Isn't there going to be a Yontif after Shavuos called Tisha B'Av? And how do you think Tisha B'Av is going to come? Because Tisha B'Av is going to be Mashiach. Tisha will be a Yontif. How do you have Tisha B'Av? Because the Jewish Malchus was destroyed. And David HaMelech died on Tisha B'Av. Who's David HaMelech? The grandson of Rus. Didn't Rus pick in the field, and Boaz saw her, and then he married her, and came from that union Oved, and then Yishai, then David, then Shoma, and then Mashiach. So the next Yom Tov after Shavuos will be Tisha B'Av. It'll be a Yom Tov, not canceled. It'll be a Yom Tov Tisha B'Av. And David HaMelech died on Tisha B'Av. And he was the great-grandson of Rus, who picked the pay on her, because she was poor. Even though she was the daughter of the Eglon Melech Moab. She'd rather be a poor pauper in the Jewish people who dealt to tell the truth about God than become part of a nation that lies. And she was the great-grandmother of David and of Shlomo Melech. Alright, 25. What else did the Tana Rashbi write? Shim Bayikor wrote the Zohar, and also another thing called Edra Zuto and Edra Rabo. 2 different works. Alright, Rabbi side, we're finished right now. Stay well. You can print it all down go on Torah anytime. You can print it, and you can also see the 49 sevens, because you know Shemitah, Shavuos is 7 times 7, and you can see all the 49 things that have to do in Yiddishkeit with 7. Alright, Rabbi side, we can now say have a nice week. Stay well, and we'll get you before Shavuos next week. Next week is Rosh Chodesh, is on Friday. Next week, Friday. And this week is Shabbos Mavarachim. That's right, Nisan. Sivan, this week, Sivan. Okay? Shalom.